So this one's going out to a patron of mine, Brian Thornton. Brian has donated to me and he wanted me to review this album, and I'm almost shocked that I hadn't talked about it up to this point. I mean, it came out earlier this year, and yeah, I think it's time to dive in and talk about it. So let's do it. Third Stage live in London by Flying Colours. So Flying Colours is another supergroup that Neal Morse and Mike Portnoy have come together to create. It's being round off with Dave LaRue, Casey McPherson, and Steve Morse being the guitarist from Deep Purple, and Casey McPherson being somebody that they've been playing with for quite a while in a number of different bands, and Dave LaRue being a fantastic bass player. And earlier last year, they put out Third Degree, their third album, following up Second Nature and their debut album. And I've kind of been lukewarm with this outfit. It's definitely a much popular approach. It's much more radio accessible, fun music, and I love their first album. Their second album of Second Nature was fine, and I actually did enjoy Third Degree. I'm not sure if I enjoyed Third Degree quite as much as Flying Colours, but you know, so we come to, after all their albums, they have to put out a live album. They did one for Live in Europe, they did another one for Second Flight, and now we come on to Third Stage. And the one thing that I do love about these live albums are kind of the energy that the boys bring across. I mean, this is the third time that they've played together, and unlike the first two, where they were still kind of feeling out how to work well with one another, at this point they've already toured twice, so everybody kind of knows how everybody feels, how everybody fits together. So at this point, it feels much more natural, it feels much more organic, and I think that's really, really needed. And they've played a number of these songs more than once as well. So when we come to some of those big staples like Kayla, like Ocean Blue, it feels lived in. It feels very homey. The only thing that I was kind of hoping for and craving with this one was a little bit more interactions with the audience. And that might have been as Casey's a little bit of like the front man. I mean, there's no real front man in this kind of a supergroup, but I do feel like Casey's more of the one that's on the center mic, and I don't feel his interactions with the audience all that well. It's just straight into another song, straight into another song, straight into another song. And I wonder if they had passed the microphone around a little bit, like having one song be introduced by Mike Portnoy, having another song being introduced by Steve Morse, having another one being introduced by Neal Morse. Kind of a passing of the baton in terms of engaging the audience in this live getup. And I was just a little let down with that. The only time when we really felt that is near the end, when Casey's asking for the house lights to be put on. And that's really about it, outside of like the very end when Neal Morse and Mike Portnoy are introducing everybody, because it is kind of their side project. So, I mean, overall, this is still a really fun live album. If you're a fan of, I'm just noticing the hair here. This is just getting ridiculous. Anyway, if you're a fan of the music, you're really going to love it, and you've probably already heard it by this point. This probably isn't going to be like the staple live album of the decade. As I mentioned, I do like how they breathe some new life on it, and I also kind of like how there's a little bit more of a structuring. Three of their big tracks, Crawl, Infinite Fire, and Cosmic Symphony, near the end of the album. So in that sense, I think it was really well structured. And having some of the more poppy, accessible, fun tracks, such as More, Kayla, A Place in Your World, those are kind of at the beginning of the album. And so it gradually lets you get into more of the prog aspect. I also enjoy that they ended with The Storm, which was one of my favorite tracks off of the third album. And Max Machine from the second album is still fine, but it's not my favorite. I don't know. I'm still wondering why that was the encore track. So for an album that is well over an hour long, I believe it's 110 minutes. So it's a big task. It's a good time. I never felt bored. I never felt disengaged. It's a good smattering of music, and I prefer this over a compilation album any day. But that's really all I have to say about Third Stage live in London from Flying Colours. But what did you guys think? Did you love this album? Did you hate this album? Whatever you thought, let me know by commenting down below. And thank you once again to Brian Thornton for donating. If you want to be cool like Brian, please consider donating. I have left my donation page down below. There's some rewards there. Everybody gets a shout out on my live streams. And depending on how much you donate, you could ask for a album review, such as the one I'm doing right now. So yeah, that's all I got. And thank you everybody else for watching and for your time. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Cool. All right. Well, how do I always end these? Wow. Whenever I don't do the usual MO, I start tripping. Thank you everybody for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out. It's gonna be getting away. Ocean, take away.